Welcome back, fragrance lovers. Thanks for joining me here on my channel, Steven Sturgill. We're going to get into another yet tobacco-based fragrance. Shout out to my Mickers who recently posted a video of a review of Franck Boclet Tobacco, in which he appears to be reading the notes off of Fragrantica or base notes, and never, not one time in that video, presents a bottle or a decant. He just literally appears to be reading the notes. You can go watch his channel. I'm not trying to throw shade to my Mickers. Great channel, great team. Love watching him and his wife banter about, and they are a really cute, funny couple. Obviously, they have thousands of subscribers. They've covered thousands of scents. Fantastic. Fantastic channel, fantastic team. But with all due respect, you do not do a frag review by reading notes off base notes or Fragrantica and not even showing a decant. It's just highly disingenuous, and for me, it's disrespecting the viewer and your fan base, if you will. So this is for you, my Mickers. This is a real decant of Franck Boclet Tobacco, which I've already sprayed right here on my hand. I don't know if the camera can see that sheen, the little oily right there, that oily sheen. But in case you don't believe me, I will spray another blast, like so. Now, I'm going to give a proper review of Franck Boclet's Tobacco. This is how it's done, guys. Okay. If you've also watched, I'm also a big fan of Sebastian's, I think it's called Smelling Great Fragrances, or Looking, Feeling, Smelling Great, something like that. You can check his channel out. Just type review of Sebastian and niche fragrance reviews, and you'll find them really, really easy on YouTube. Sebastian recently did a review sometime back, I don't know if it was very recent, of Franck Boclet's Tobacco as well. Obviously, Boclet is a famous, primarily clothing designer. Also, he's been in frags, he's been in fragrances for quite a while. This is, as Sebastian pointed out in his video, this is a lot more dialed down than Tobacco Vanille, which it often gets compared to, although I kind of know why, but it's not justified. We'll get into that in a minute. I hate the way in Fragcom how everything that comes out that it has tobacco and vanilla is instantly matched up and compared to Tobacco Vanille, which is a very, very particular fragrance, right? And I get it, because, okay, it has tobacco and has vanilla. I get it. With all due respect, so does Parfums de Marly, Herod, but it smells nothing like Tobacco Vanille. Tobacco Rouge, again, very, very distinct. I could go down the list. Feuille de Tabac from Miller Harris. I don't know that this has vanilla in it. Very, very different tobacco-based scent. And I just point that out, or for example, rum and tobacco, right, from Sud Pacifique, Comtois de Pays, France. Very, very different, more of a Caribbean take on a tobacco scent. I think it's disingenuous and it's lazy for the average reviewer and or aficionado or fan or even just the average consumer to instantly go, oh, it must be like Tobacco Vanille. Oh, it's got tobacco vanilla. Oh, Tobacco Vanille. They are probably nothing alike, except that they may have those two elements in them. I'm sorry to sound like I'm going on a mini rant. I'm just getting so tired of everyone bringing Tobacco Vanille like it's the holy grail. It is a marvelous scent, but it is not the only stop in Fragcom for tobacco-based scents. I wouldn't even say it's the best tobacco-based scent in Fragcom. It is most excellent, no doubt. I love Tom Ford. I'm not even trying to throw shade at the house of Tom Ford. But at any rate, let's move on. I think I've ranted enough on that point. Let's get into the unique differences of Boclet's Tobacco. I will say that this is a tough one for me because the scent itself is excellent and it's interesting and it has some complexity to it. It has some dimension to it. But it's also somewhat, it's quite disappointing by just maybe 2 parameters. And Sebastian nailed it on the head in his review. Which my makers didn't even give any reasons or differences between this and Tobacco Vanille. He just kind of said, oh, it's tobacco, check, check, check. And I'm being a little cute and curtsy, but that's basically all he said. Really, you can go watch his review if you don't believe me. But Sebastian was very, very clear and concise. Obviously, he had an entire bottle. I wanted to finally order a sample before I pulled the trigger on a $165 frag or whatever it costs, or $180, I forget, retail. You can get it for a little bit cheaper if you look around on discounters. Just be careful of fakes. I won't list the countries where those are coming from. I don't know, but they may be real, they may be not real. Again, in the old adage, guys, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Just buyer beware. Having said that, if it's from a reputable discounter, of course it can be and should be authentic, even at a greatly reduced rate. Obviously, that's the whole idea of waiting to buy on discounters. Like Fragrance Net, like Notino, like Fragrance X, like Beauty Encounter. And there's others. I think there's Lily something. Not Twisted Lily, that's a niche seller. At any rate, Seb and I apparently both agree that this is way, way more dialed down than Tobacco Vanille, and even a lot of other tobacco-based scents like Herod. This really, really, I won't say it's a skin scent, that's going way too far, but it sits a lot more intimately on the surface of the skin than does, for example, Tobacco Vanille or Herod. I could name, I'm sure, many. This, for example, Atelier Cologne, Tobacco Nuit is a beast. Old Havana from Solstice Scents is, I have to say, with all due respect, probably the strongest scent I've ever owned on planet Earth. It's even stronger than La Yucawams by House of Versace. It's like a quasar star. Old Havana. Old Havana literally is a one-shot sprayer. Anything more than that, and you're asking for trouble. Just trust me, unless you are just... Anyway, I'll save that topic for another time. We're not reviewing Old Havana. It's mega, it's hyper beast mode. But at any rate, this is a way more intimate, almost a skin scent type scent. It's not quite. It's approaching being just a skin scent. It sits so much lower in the register, so much quieter on surface. Now, I will say it has a beautiful, beautiful tobacco note as it starts to open up. Not even the dry down, just opening up in the early mids to dry down. It has what I would describe as primarily pipe tobacco with a little hint of plum and cherry, or cherry plum, not to be cute. And I'd say about maybe 15 to 20% cigar tobacco. Like a really good, medium, light-bodied, really, really high-dollar cigar. Just not overly complex, but very cured, you know, aged, somewhere between dry and semi-resinous, semi-moist. But I could, you know, on Fragrantica, it says this thing has ginger in it, which I could see that, but I could swear my nose is also getting a hint of cinnamon. But cinnamon is not listed in the notes. I'm onto you, Frank. I know there's cinnamon in here, bub. I'm definitely getting some cinnamon. This has tonka bean, which gives off its own little creamy vanilla, sandalwoody type vibe. So I really will say, guys, this is an incredible tobacco-based scent. But with the caveat that you understand going in, it's never going to be beast mode, not even semi-beast mode. It's never going to speak as loud as Tobacco Vanille. If you see yourself only as a hardcore extremist, you know, like Tobacco Vanille or Herod are bust, this is not for you. That's all I can say. But if you're simply a fragrance lover and connoisseur of great tobacco scents, this is really, really good, but huge asterisk or caveat, It is a very, generally speaking, quiet and intimate scent. It's going to be more for you than anyone else. I don't know that this could function in a nightclub. Granted, unless you just go bazillion sprays and get all of your clothing, maybe then it could be. But I would hate to waste that much juice from a fairly expensive, semi-niche or high-end designer, however you want to see Boclet. I guess in France, he's seen as more of a boutique designer, if that makes sense. We could argue all day what's exactly niche and designer, and is Tom Ford really a designer? I see Tom Ford much more as a high-end designer and not niche at all because of the money that's behind them and the amount of other things they have going on, like in clothing and in general. Creed is much more of a niche designer that has the money now of a real design boutique at a fairly high level because they make so much money under frags. And then you have things like, where is it? Like Imaginary Authors, which is true niche, are the guy that developed Copper Skies. Again, true niche because they're much, much smaller. And they really sort of just go all in on their own liberties, designing whatever they want. They're not designing for the market. Whereas Tom Ford is very, very much trying to capture his very specific audience, if that makes sense. But at the same time, it's extremely commercial to a point. I mean, they have commercial dollars. I'm not saying the scents are cheesy commercial or anything like that. They're not like, no offense to Drakkar Noir, but or Jovan Musk. You know what I mean? They're not approaching a level that is obviously, or even Ataro, that is very, very just sort of mass appealy, and you picture a $20 bottle of juice selling for $80, if that makes sense, or outer limit 100, right? Tom Ford's obviously are appealing to upper class and upward shakers and movers, right? Because the scents are expected to have a lot more character, quality, and certain nuances, certain DNA makeups that represent the brand. A la, for example, Joe Malone is no different in that regard. But having said all that, there are maybe one other downside to this scent, is that for all its so-called complexity, as it dries down on skin, it becomes more of a mashup of just mild pipe tobacco and a little bit of cinnamony amberness, or amber, and just the mildest hint of like an almondy vanilla. It's really nice, but I will definitely say it's not overly impressive. It doesn't blow me away. It doesn't just grab me by the ankles and say, you are mine, I'm wearing you, you're not wearing me. This is not a scent that is going to wow anybody, in my humble opinion. It is excellent for what it is, but it's not a game changer, and it's not really going to wow anyone. I don't think this would really garner compliments simply because A, it's not strong enough off the skin, and B, again, for all its so-called complexity, it's really rather a simplistic smelling scent as it dries down. So, excellent tobacco-based scent. I can recommend it with some pretty big asterisks that if what I've said resonates with you and your style, by all means go out and buy it, or at least buy a decant. But to be quite frank, if you're looking for a powerhouse type frag like Tobacco Vanille or Herod or I don't know, I can't even think of all the other, I'm sure there's a ton out there. This is not the scent for you. So take what I've said with a grain of salt. You decide, but by all means, at least get your nose on a decant or sample. Or if you're just a baller, go ahead and grab a bottle. I mean, you could always sell it or decant it out later. That's gonna do it, guys. I ran a little bit over time, a little bit excited. Look, it's all good. I'm not trying to start a war with my mickers. I just think there is a way you need to respect your audience base. There's a way that we respect our viewers, and it's by being genuine. As I typed to my Mickers about, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago, it's disingenuous because anyone could just pretend to be a reviewer by simply tagging the base notes or Fragrantica, reading off the stuff and saying, yeah, it's got this, it's got that. Yeah, but what do you think about it? Have you worn it? Have you smelled it? When I typed it out, my Micker said that he had owned it or owned a decant of it about a year prior, and that's fine and dandy. That may be certainly true. It still doesn't obliviate the fact that he did a review without any kind of decant or sample or bottle. And he literally appeared to be, you can watch the video, reading right off the channel, which I just think is not cool. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Again, they have a great channel. Don't hate me for saying all this. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, I do want to make a point that there is a right way and there's an incorrect way. And always choose the right way, guys. It's gonna make it for a better community and a better channel and better content. I'm going to leave it at that. Have a good one. Spray often, spray well. Live life on your terms, baby, not someone else's. It is too long or too short, however you choose to see it. It's a philosophical question. Peace out. Keep on rocking tobacco fragrances or any fragrance that you like. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.